When my wife got pregnant, our neighbor congratulated us with a handmade quilt. We were touched. Until she started leaving parenting books at our door, with pages highlighted. Passive-aggressive notes. Don't let your baby cry, or you'll ruin their brain. We tried to keep the peace. But when we refused to let her into the nursery, she called CPS and said our home was emotionally unsafe. I thought it would blow over, until we woke up to find a crib sitting on her porch, with a sign that said, "Where she belongs. My wife and I live in Bellingham, Washington. Quiet street. Trees on both sides, old houses with porches and flower beds. You know the kind. We bought the place 3 years ago. First home, fixer-upper, but it had charm. We're in our early 30s. No kids until last fall. That's when Sarah got pregnant. We'd been trying for a long time. I don't want to get into all that right now, but let's just say it wasn't easy for her. When we finally saw that second pink line, she cried. I held her. We sat on the bathroom floor for 20 minutes. We told our parents, then close friends. Didn't make a big thing on social media. We liked keeping it close. We didn't know our neighbor Nora would take it as an invitation into our lives. Nora lived directly across the street. Small white house with red shutters. Always sweeping the sidewalk, pruning roses, baking things. She was friendly when we moved in, but not overly so. She kept to herself mostly. We didn't think much of her. Retired schoolteacher, maybe early 60s. Wore loose sweaters and orthopedic shoes. She had this soft voice, always calm, but the kind that made you feel like you were being graded. When she found out we were expecting, she knocked on our door with a gift. A handmade quilt. Pastel colors, pinks and greens. Tiny butterflies stitched into the border. For your little one, she said, tearing up. I've waited so long to have a baby on this street again. We were touched. It was thoughtful. Sarah hugged her. Looking back, I wish we'd just thanked her and shut the door. A few weeks later, we found a book on our porch. The Whole Brain Child. Sticky notes stuck to the front. Chapter 3 is the key. Highlighted for you. Hope you'll take this seriously. Inside, it was marked up like a college textbook. Underlines, stars in the margins, circles around phrases like neglectful parenting and developmental harm. I thought it was weird. Sarah said maybe she was just trying to help. So we didn't say anything. We left it on the bookshelf. Then came another book. Bringing Up BB. Another note. American Parenting Ruins Independence. French Parents Raise Thinkers. I started getting a bad feeling. It wasn't just advice. It was judgment. Every note had this tone. Like we were already failing and she was trying to rescue us. Sarah said we should be polite. She's just lonely, she said. We don't have to read the books. Then one afternoon, Nora waved me over while I was mowing the lawn. I've been thinking about how you two might handle the 4th trimester, she said. You need to be careful not to let her cry too much. Cortisol builds up. It changes brain development. I blinked. We haven't really decided anything yet. Oh, she smiled. Well, don't wait too long. These choices shape the whole life. It wasn't small talk. It felt like a warning. More notes followed. Sometimes slid under the door. Sometimes taped to the mailbox. Crying is trauma. Formula is poison. Baby needs skin to skin every 2 hours minimum. We hadn't even had the baby yet. Sarah started getting anxious. We stopped telling Nora anything. But that didn't stop her. She seemed to watch the house constantly. If I opened the front door, she'd wave. Sometimes she'd just stand on her porch, arms crossed, watching. After our daughter, Lucy, was born, we kept to ourselves. No visits. No announcements. Just us three. We were exhausted and overwhelmed but happy. Nora brought over a lasagna. Left it at the door. No note. A few days later, we came home from Lucy's first pediatric appointment, and found another book on the porch. Sleep Without Tears. This time, the note wasn't polite. If you let her cry at night, you are literally damaging her brain. There are studies. Stop being selfish. Sarah started crying when she read it. She hadn't slept in 2 days. I took the book and threw it in the trash. That night, we closed all the blinds. We tried to keep things peaceful. We smiled if we saw her outside. But we didn't invite her in again. The last time she was inside was before Lucy was born. We showed her the nursery, thinking it was a nice gesture. She walked around like it was hers. Opened drawers. Picked up the baby monitor. Commented on the paint color. When Sarah said, "We're still finishing up in here," Nora said flatly, "I hope you're not planning to let her sleep in here alone." After that, she stopped pretending to be friendly. Then, 2 weeks after Lucy came home, there was a knock on the door. CPS. A woman in her 40s stood there, clipboard in hand, badge around her neck. She introduced herself and said they received a report of an emotionally unsafe environment for a newborn. She was professional. Polite. But she had to come in. Sarah panicked. She started crying again. The worker looked around, checked the nursery, asked basic questions. There was nothing wrong. She even said, "Honestly, this kind of thing happens more than you think. Usually it's a neighbor who means well but gets too involved." We both knew exactly who it was. That night, I wanted to go over there. But Sarah stopped me. "Please," she said. "She's unstable. Don't make it worse." We tried to ignore her after that. Didn't speak. Didn't wave. If we were outside and she came out, we went back in. Then, a week later, it happened. It was raining. I went outside to take the trash out. Across the street, on Nora's porch, was a crib. Assembled. Clean. White, with floral bedding and a pink stuffed lamb. A little wooden sign hung from the top rail. "Burned into the wood. Where she belongs." I just stood there, water soaking through my socks. I went back inside and told Sarah. She went pale. She didn't say a word. Just picked up Lucy and held her tight. That's when I knew this wasn't going to go away on its own. After the crib showed up on Nora's porch, I took pictures. Every angle. The sign, the bedding, the lamb. I didn't know what I was going to do with them yet, but something in my gut told me to keep a record. Sarah barely slept that night. Neither did I. Lucy was in the bassinet between us, but every creak of the house made us sit up straight. I thought about putting up cameras, but I didn't want to scare Sarah more. I told myself maybe it was just some creepy message, some boundary-pushing thing she thought was motherly. Maybe she didn't mean it literally. I was wrong. The next morning, I went out to get the paper. Nora was already out there, watering her plants in the rain like nothing was weird. The crib was still on her porch. She saw me. Smiled. Tilted her head. "How's little Lucy this morning?" she asked. I didn't answer. I just stared at her. "You know," she said softly, "some babies just feel more comfortable with the right energy. You should pay attention to that." I walked back inside without saying a word. My hands were shaking. I wasn't even sure if it was rage or fear anymore. Sarah called her sister that day. Asked if she could come visit for a while. Nora's behavior was making her nervous, and I could tell Lucy was feeding off that stress. Her sleep was all over the place. We weren't eating right. The house felt heavy. Her sister Rachel showed up that night. She stayed in the guest room. She was the first person we told everything to. The books, the CPS call, the crib. Her face went white. "Why the hell haven't you reported her?" she asked. I said, "To who? The police? What would I say? She gave us a quilt and left parenting books?" CPS already brushed it off. Until she breaks in, no one's going to care. Rachel didn't accept that. She started documenting everything. Took pictures of the notes Nora had left, what we still had. Made a file. Even videoed from the window when Nora stood across the street just watching. But Nora didn't stop. One afternoon, Rachel came home from a walk with Lucy in the stroller. She was pale, visibly shaking. She tried to talk to me, she said. Stepped right in front of the stroller. Apparently, Nora had stepped off her porch and said, "You shouldn't be walking her on concrete. It's too much vibration. She can't speak yet, she needs calm." Then she leaned over the stroller and tried to adjust the blanket. Rachel slapped her hand away. "If you ever touch her again, I swear to God," she said. Nora didn't yell. Didn't argue. She just smiled, like she knew something we didn't. That was the turning point. I finally installed cameras. One facing the driveway, one facing the porch, one inside pointing at the front door. I also bought new locks. Sarah and I both took turns sleeping in shifts, just in case. Rachel stayed another week, and I didn't let her walk Lucy alone again. 3 nights later, we caught her on camera. 2:14 a.m. Nora walked onto our porch, barefoot, holding something in a basket. She set it down quietly. Looked through our front window. Just stared. Then she walked away. The basket had baby clothes in it. Onesies. Pacifiers. A jar of homemade lotion. And another note. "You two aren't well. This baby needs real attachment. I'm sorry you don't understand. But I do." That was it. I took the footage and the note and drove straight to the police station. The officer at the front desk seemed tired. He read the note, watched the video, took down my name. Asked if she'd ever threatened us directly. "No," I said. "But she called CPS. She's escalating. She thinks our child belongs to her." He nodded. "Said they'd send someone to talk to her. Maybe issue a formal warning. You can also file a restraining order if you feel unsafe," he added. I did. Nora was served 2 days later. That night, for the first time in months, the porch across the street was empty. No watering can. No potted plants. No creepy crib. Just darkness. I wish I could say that was the end of it. But it was only the beginning. After the restraining order was served, Nora disappeared. Not literally. But she stopped coming outside. No more porch watching. No more notes. No more fake smiles across the street. It was quiet for the first time in weeks. We tried to get back to normal. Sarah started sleeping better. Lucy's routine got more stable. Rachel went back home, but she still called every day. "Text me if she so much as breathes weird," she'd say. Part of me felt guilty. Like maybe we'd overreacted. Like maybe Nora really was just a lonely, odd woman who didn't understand boundaries. But then I'd remember the crib. The CPS call. The hand she tried to lay on my daughter. No. We didn't overreact. 2 weeks went by. Then one night Sarah woke me up around 3 a.m. I heard her whispering, "Listen. Do you hear that?" It was soft. A faint clicking noise. Like a camera shutter. I jumped out of bed and ran to the nursery. Lucy was asleep. The window was closed, blinds down. I pulled them back just a bit. Nothing. I checked the security camera feed. At first, I didn't see anything. Then I caught it. A red blinking light, across the street. Inside Nora's window. She'd moved a camera up to the 2nd floor, right where it could face our front door and driveway. It was pointed directly at us. I couldn't believe it. I recorded it. Called the police again. They came out the next morning. "You can't stop her from putting up a camera in her own house," the officer said. "Even if it's facing your home. She hasn't broken any laws. But she's filming our baby's nursery," Sarah said. "That's not right. There's no proof she's filming through the window," he said. "And even if she were, it's technically visible from public view. Best thing you can do is keep your blinds closed and document everything." We were furious. I bought blackout curtains the same day. Covered every window in Lucy's room. Sarah barely spoke. She started keeping Lucy in our room again, even though she'd just gotten used to the nursery. That weekend, I checked the cameras again, just to be sure nothing else had happened. That's when I saw it. Footage from 2 nights before, 2:48 a.m. Nora wasn't on her porch. She was in our backyard. She walked along the fence line, slowly, holding something under her coat. She went up to our shed and knelt down. Looked like she was placing something behind it. Then she left. My hands went numb. I grabbed a flashlight and went outside. Behind the shed, half buried in a plastic bag, was a pair of baby shoes. Pink. Tiny. Covered in dirt. And another note. Someday you'll see this was for her. Someday she'll thank me. That's when something snapped in me. I called the cops again. Showed them the footage. This time, they didn't brush it off. An officer came to take a full statement. They said they'd send someone to talk to her again, maybe escalate it if she didn't comply with the restraining order. But they still wouldn't arrest her. She hasn't made a direct threat, they said. It's disturbing, yes. But not criminal, yet. Sarah couldn't take it anymore. She packed a bag and took Lucy to her parents' place in Portland. She said, I love you, but I can't stay here with her across the street. It's not safe. I didn't argue. I stayed behind to deal with everything. Nora must have noticed they were gone. She started coming back outside. Just standing there. Watching me mow the lawn. Checking the mail. Taking out the trash. Silent. Then, one night, she left something else on our porch. It wasn't a note. It was a photo. Of Lucy. Taken from a distance. Through the window. She was in her crib, sleeping. On the back, scrawled in pen. She looks peaceful with me. When I saw that photo, something inside me broke. It was like every bit of fear, anger, helplessness I'd swallowed over the past few months all boiled to the surface at once. I didn't feel scared anymore. I felt like I was standing in front of a fire, and I was ready to walk through it. I didn't call the cops this time. I took the photo, the note, the security footage, and every scrap of what Nora had done, and I drove straight to the police station downtown. I didn't ask to speak to a patrol officer this time. I asked for a detective. Told them I wasn't leaving until someone listened. Finally, a woman named Detective Lang came out. Early 50s. Stern face. No small talk. She sat me down, looked through everything. Took her time. When she saw the photo, her face changed. This looks like stalking, she said. And she's already violated a restraining order. I nodded. She's sick. And she thinks my daughter belongs to her. That same night, they sent officers to her house. They didn't arrest her. Not yet. But they took her in for questioning. Issued a formal warning. Opened a case. Still, it wasn't enough. The next morning, she was back on her porch. Rocking in a chair like nothing had happened. That's when I made my decision. If the law couldn't stop her fast enough, I would. I took a few days off work. Packed up the house. Sarah and Lucy stayed in Portland. I told her not to come back until it was over. Then I went to work. I printed every note. Every photo. Every piece of evidence. I made copies and walked them to every house on our street. I knocked. I waited. I explained what Nora had done. How she called CPS. How she trespassed. How she left that photo of my baby. Most people didn't even know. They'd always seen Nora as the sweet old lady who baked cookies and kept to herself. By the time I got to house 6, I could see it in their eyes. They were scared too. I wasn't done. I made a post in the local Bellingham community group. Shared everything. Blurred out Lucy's face, but not Nora's. Told the story exactly as it happened. The books. The notes. The CPS lie. The photo. The crib. The stalking. It blew up. Hundreds of comments. People horrified, sharing their own stories about neighbors crossing the line. A few even recognized Nora from other neighborhoods where she used to live, said she'd acted weird around their kids too. And then someone from the school district chimed in. She had worked with Nora years ago. Said she'd been forced into early retirement after complaints from staff. Boundary issues, she wrote. Refused to follow directions. Got too involved in students' personal lives. The next day, CPS called us. They were reopening our case, but this time, against Nora. She had lied on her original report. The caseworker who first visited us had filed a concern about her behavior. And that was enough. The police got a warrant to search her home. They found a hidden room upstairs. Small, barely more than a walk-in closet. Painted pale yellow. A crib inside. Stacks of parenting books. Baby clothes. Photos of Lucy, dozens of them. Some printed. Some torn from our trash. A journal. Pages and pages of notes written in a tight, neat script. They don't deserve her. They aren't bonded. She cries because she's confused. I could show her real calm. She belongs here. That's when they arrested her. Charged with stalking. Violation of a protective order. Trespassing. An intent to abduct a minor. Sarah and Lucy came home a week later. We installed more cameras. Got a security system. Changed the locks again. But it took months before Sarah let Lucy sleep in the nursery again. Sometimes I walk by Nora's old house, because she lost it. Evicted. Her name is banned from every CPS record in the county. Neighbors put up signs saying, "Safe street for kids." Someone started a petition to keep her off the block if she ever comes back. The house is still empty. Porch rotting. Windows boarded. The grass grows tall now. But the quilt she gave us? We burned it. I made one mistake in all of this. I tried too hard to stay polite at first. Tried too hard not to stir the pot. And that let her in, inch by inch, until she thought Lucy was hers. So if you ever get a neighbor who crosses a line, don't wait. Because by the time she built a crib on her porch, she thought she was already family. But in the end, she learned exactly where she didn't belong.